ITJ for calling the police on my entitled sister and mother after they tried to steal my house and car? A little bit of backstory before I start. I am a 28-year-old male living on my own. My sister is 25, and she still lives with my mother. My sister was always spoiled. From a very young age, even I could tell there was a lot of preference towards her. She would never get blamed for things, and when it was her word against mine, her word always won. My father would usually just go with what my mother would say, or he would just go on and on about how she could never do any wrong. I left my house as soon as I could and moved into my own house to be on my own and independent, as my family wanted. I also cut contact with my family, except for a brief happy birthday or Merry Christmas. Now to the story. A couple of weeks ago, I was out of the country for a couple of days as I had to go to a friend's wedding. He was my best friend, I couldn't miss it. When I came back to my house, I saw that my car wasn't there, and that the lights in my house were on, even though I had made sure to turn them off before I left. I stood outside and walked around the property, looking for any signs of missing objects or something like that. A little bit of information about my house. It's a pretty big house, nothing to write home about, but a nice house in a nice neighborhood. I have a pool in the back, which I pretty much only use for gatherings. I went inside and noticed a lot of my things had moved around, an obvious sign or a robbery. I went to my room and dialed the police. Just then my mother came into the room, acting like everything was perfectly normal. Our exchange went something like this. Me, what are you doing in my house? Mom, your sister got a new job and we wanted to celebrate by taking her on holidays. Me, that doesn't explain what you're doing in my house, Mom. We needed a place to stay, and since you're family, I figured we'd stay here. Me, no, Mom, you have to let me know if you're coming. You can't just come into my house unannounced. Do you have anything to do with the car? Mom, we're family. Stop being so entitled and rude. I raised you for 18 years and you kicked me out? And about the car, your sister took it to go out with some friends. Me, Mom, you have 30 minutes to get my car here. Gather your stuff and leave, or I will be calling the cops. Mom, don't you dare. We're family. I closed the door to my room and got 911 ready to dial. For anyone wondering how she got my house and car, I got the habit of leaving a spare key under a rock next to my front door just in case. My mother knows this. My car keys were inside. After half an hour, I came out to see my mother and sister sitting in the living room watching TV. I walked in and told my mom that I had warned her. I took my phone out and my sister, and she started begging me not to call, saying how we are family and how I'd be a bad son. I stayed quiet and dialed the police. This is when they realized I was really serious and started to leave. I called and the police arrived a couple of minutes later, just as they were running with their suitcase trying to leave. They were arrested and they made up a sob story about how I had kicked them out of their own home. I showed the police proof that it was my house. Their suitcases were checked, and sure enough they found a lot of stuff that belonged to me, like some watches and even a gold necklace that I was planning on using if I ever met a girl. Now I'm being asked if I should press charges. I feel bad about pressing charges as they are my family after all, and they are saying I'm a jerk for calling the police on them. Am I the jerk? And what do I do? TLDR. My entitled mother and sister broke into my house and used my car while I was away, and now they're calling me a jerk because I'm thinking about pressing charges.